Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome again, and I pray that you all are well and your families as well. And I pray that may Allah keep us all safe from this disaster. Ameen. So, the course title is the African Literature Program Master of Arts, course code ENGL 4117, and I am Shazadi Samra. Today our topic is Things Fall Apart, the novel by Chinua Achebe. So before moving on to topic, I would tell you about the writer Chinua Achebe, whose full name was Albert Chinua Achebe. He was Nigerian novelist, poet, professor, and critic. So his name, it does tell that he was a Christian and an African as well. He was born to a Christian family, the converted Christian family. So he was born on November 16, 1930, Nigeria, and he died in Boston on 21st March 2013. He was well known, he was acclaimed, and he was famous for his unsentimental depiction of pre and post colonial condition of Africa in his works. So before digging into this claim, just know a little about Chinua Achebe. He was a person, or he was born to a family who converted into Christian, and they belonged to the Nigeria, and he belonged to the Igbo culture. Igbo culture. He went to US to study, and there he studied indigenous Nigerian culture, and after reading the Nigerian cultures and after seeing the racial difference that much, he just rejected his Christian name and just took his indigenous African name, that is the Chinua Achebe. So he just rejected his Christian name. That is why we call him Chinua Achebe. And he started writing in the early age, and he also worked in the Nigerian Broadcasting Service. The year of from 1950 to 1960, he was though this decade was quite the happy decade, and quite the glittering one for Chinua Achebe, as his work he gained popularity as a writer, and his work The Things Fall Apart, it was published before the 2 years before the Nigerian independence. It was published in 1958, and Nigeria got its independence in 1960. So he gained quite popularity because of this work. He was quite an active member of in the politics as well of the society, and the year of as well, there was a civil war, Nigerian civil war, and he was the supporter of that war because he was from the Igbo culture, and there was that civil war was between the Igbo culture and the Yoruba culture. So the year these things went on, and the year of 1990, it was quite the tragic year for him, because he got into an accident, and he was just paraplegic from the waist down after that automobile accident. So and he lived in the US, and he started teaching. Before that, he used to move, he used to go to different universities, and he used to deliver lectures, and he also used to bring awareness, or to give awareness to different people, different in different universities about the African culture and African literature, and he worked a lot about it. That is also why he is the popular one. And okay, what he was depicting in his works, actually the purpose of his writing was that he sees that his role as a writer as one of the social responsibility, since he believes that all good stories should have a purpose. So his novels were written in English, and but he incorporates Igbo vocabulary and narratives as well. He wrote in English, but he used the proverbs and everything that is the African. So he draws on the oral tradition of indigenous tribes, such as folk tales, songs, and verbal descriptions of life and lessons as well. And his goal was to mold the English language to the rhythm and the lyrical quality of the Nigerian language. So this style and the incorporation of the proverbs and idioms of the African culture combined to mark his stories as uniquely African. So it is recognized for his ability to write simply yet eloquently about life's universal qualities. So he got quite popularity as a writer. What he was most concerned about, he was, daily unhappy. He was extremely unhappy about the depiction of by depiction of Africa by Joseph Conrad, The Heart of Darkness, and Mr. Johnson. And because he felt that these works, they are inaccurate, they are insulting, and they're extremely racist works. And he was quite unhappy, like deeply disappointed when he read about those words. So it is said that he wrote Things Fall Apart in response to those works, in an attempt to show that what Europeans thought was strange actually had meaning and importance. So that was actually the Empire Writes Back thing. And most of his novels and short stories are based in Nigeria and Africa, and many of his characters are members of the Igbo culture, Igbo society, because he himself was belonged to the Igbo culture. So he also looked at African experience under white Christian colonialism as systematic. And his writing concerns about the clash of culture and the breakdown of the traditional African culture in the face of the European colonization in 1800s, in means 19th century. So he was just trying. He depicted he was being neutral about the depiction of the social and psychological disorientation that was accompanying the imposition of Western customs and values upon traditional Africa and traditional African society. So he was just, because of the representation, his representation, the imposition of the Western culture or the Western people on the African society, he just depicted that. And his particular concern was with the emergent Africa at its moment of crisis. And his novels range in subject matter from the first contact of an African village with a white man to the educated Africans attempt to create a firm moral order out of changing values in a large city. So he just, he tried to depict like a pre-colonial period, then colonial period, and the post-colonial period in his works. His major works are Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, No Longer at Ease, A Man of the People, Ant Hills of Savannah. These are his major works basically. So move on to the next his work, that is the Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart. First, I would give you some of the introduction and some of the historical background. The historical background of Things Fall Apart is exactly the same that was the background of the African literature, because it was written in the context, or in order to defend. I told you earlier that it was written in the response to the Heart of Darkness and Mr. Johnson, because it was published as a response to the novels that treat Africa as a cultureless foil for Europe. So it was set in the setting of the novel is 1890s. So it portrays the conflicts between Nigeria's white colonial government and traditions of indigenous Igbo people. It also portrays complex social institutions and traditions of the Igbo culture prior to the European contact. So it was written in 1958, but setting of the novel is 1890s. So with Echibe, it was a first novel, and it concerns the traditional Igbo life at the time of the advent of missionaries and colonial government in his homeland, the Achibe's homeland, Igbo. Nigeria, sorry. So his it is he remarkably paints a comprehensive picture of Igbo society at the end of the 19th century, when there was beginning of the colonization. There was the advent of the missionaries and the colonial government. So he's the principal character, cannot accept the new order, and even though the old has already collapsed, the old order has already collapsed, but he was just unable to accept the change. He was just unable to accept the new order, because change is part of life, but when your whole world suddenly changes, how do we keep? When it just turns upside down. So it was the same thing for the African people. Their whole world was turned upside down with the coming of the colonial government and the missionaries. So it was just unable, and they were just unable to understand what was exactly happening and how they should cope with it. So Achebe just exactly portrayed the situation in Things of Fall Apart, and he says that the reason African literature came into existence, because these things that were supposed to represent Africans were inaccurate, and there was a vacuum and a gap to be filled. So that is why he says that African literature came into being. And there is another criticism about by the Achebe. He says that let me first make one general point that is fundamental and essential to the appreciation of African issues by Americans. He says that he was just trying to, clarify the situation, because the colonizers, they just portrayed a really bad or negative image of the colonized people, and being Muslims and Asians, they have depicted like the beard is a stereotype. It has become a stereotype by, and they have made it a stereotype, and the person whosoever has a beard, he will be considered as the Taliban, or the terrorist. So there is another stereotype or misconception about the hijab. Hijab is the how West represents the hijab. They represent it kind of oppression, as if Muslim society, as if they our religion is oppressing the woman. So that is how they just manipulated the things, and they misrepresented many societies, many cultures. So that was exactly happened with the African people. And Chinua Achebe said the Africans are people in the same way that Americans, Europeans and Asians and other are people. So Africans are not strange beings with the unpronounceable names and impenetrable minds. Although the action of Things Fall Apart takes place in a setting with which most Africans are unfamiliar. like most of the world is unfamiliar. The characters are normal people and their events are real human events. So whatever things he has represented in this work, those are new to us. Many of the things are new to us, their customs, their traditions, their proverbs, their vocabulary, everything, because that was the first time people were getting to know the African culture and African people. So, what is the view of Chiaka Joko about the work is Achebe's fictional world is realistic and at times verges on naturalism as it delves into the photographic reenactments of Igbo traditional life and culture, such as can readily be adopted to the resources of English language. So he was just saying, he is appreciating that he is just although he created a fictional world, but he has represented the reality in it, and it is quite close to reality. So that is somehow the background of the novel. And here is the quite beautiful quotation by Achebe. African people didn't hear of culture for the first time from Europeans. That is how he is defending. As the Europeans said, they civilized the Asians, they civilized African, they civilized other nations, and what in response to that statement, Achebe has said, African people didn't hear of culture for the first time from Europeans. Their society had a philosophy, they had dignity. It is that dignity that many African people all but lost during the colonial period, and it is that they must now regain. So these, the literary giants, African writers, they were trying to restore the faith of their people in their own culture, in their own traditions. So move on to the uh, title significance. Things fall apart. The title, it is basically the Achebe, he took this title from the W.B. Yeats, The Second Coming, and in this he is also a modern writer, and in The Second Coming he just lamented the modern disintegration, or the modern man disintegration in this poem. So that is the stanza, turning and turning in the widening gear. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed up upon the word. So he is saying that things are changing. One cannot hear the other. People are not listening to it. Everything is just modernizing so fast that center cannot hold anymore. Things are just falling apart when you just spin something so fast and put or tie some things with it, and it will just it will just fall apart. It won't be able to hold things. So the Achebe took this title from this, the Second Coming, the things fall apart, things are falling apart. Title itself signifies the theme of the book. So as the Second Coming, this shows that disintegration and the breakage of the things. Same is the things fall apart is showing. It shows the disintegration, breaking into the pieces of thing. Thereafter to intact the social pattern of the Igbos. So basically it's just showing the disintegration in the African society, how the colonial people, they just disintegrated the society, that everything was falling apart. What he was just Achebe just preoccupied with the things falling apart, the breakdown of the old order under the relentless onslaught of the new order. So he was just occupied with it. And the significance of title increases when it hints at the theme of the book. as I told you that the video title the things fall apart, it highlights the process of disintegration of Igbo culture and society. And Achebe also looks back at his Igbo society, specifically at the period of the white man broke into it, and he also the mere anarchy loosed upon the word of the Umofia, and that mere anarchy is the white man. So the major theme of the novel is also the British colonization, and I told you in the previous lecture that the colonialism, the colonization is the major theme in almost every African literature. So he was also the colonization and the conversion to the Christianity of the tribal people has just destroyed the intricate and old pattern of life in the Africa. So dealing with the theme of the chaos and disruption, we can not say that the Achebe's selection of the title is only appropriate. Rather, it is a true depiction or the true reflection of the story or the theme. So he just opted the quite accurate title for his work. Things Fall Apart is about a clan which once thought like which one thought like one, spoke like one, shared a common awareness, and they acted like one. When it is a common phrase, two bodies, one soul, something like that. Uh, uh, I hope that I'm right. So that is the unity. I told you that Achebe said that he has never seen so much united nation as the African nation. So the clan, those clans, they thought like one, they act like one, they shared like one person, they spoke like one person. So there was the unity. They were just tied with each other, tied up with each other. Then the white came man, and they broke this unity. They just they just destroyed their center, and in order to destroy their center, they just divided them, and they used the the rule of divide and rule. You may have heard the that phrase, divide and rule, and they did the same. They just divided them, and then they started ruling them. There's a quotation in the work that is, the white man is very clever. They came quietly, warned peaceably with his religion. Now he has won our brothers. Our clan can no longer act like one. They just divided them and then just started ruling them. So Achebe just he analyzed the situation that was before the colonialism, and after the colonialism as well. He just analyzes the ways of the colonial people that causes the disintegration, and it ultimately it ultimately just led towards the scattering of the things. So their first tool is to use force and to avoid their strategy and tragedy. And they used discussion, their sweet, they showed them green gardens, glittery things, and then what they did, they used force. When they saw they are just they resisting, they used force, so that they just played the good cop bad cop thing. One of them, he played the role of good cop, that he was sympathizing them, he was just talking to them politely, and making them to convert into Christianity. And the other person, the white man, he was being a bad cop. He was using force to create fear among African people. So they introduced Christianity they they introduced, first they introduced Christianity, later on they just imposed it on them. So they just or one thing more, they used I just give you a common example that if we have a group of friends, and if there's a 1 week thread, 1 week person, everybody will try to, from outside the group, will try to hit that person in order to break the group. So the same thing the colonizers did. They just supported the outcast people, and when they supported the outcast people, and those outcast people, they just converted into Christianity. That is how the Christianity was started there. Later on, they just they convinced other people of the clans, and it ultimately led to the Christianity, and things were changing so fast that it was just unable, it became just unable to keep the cop with it things. So the title of the novel is also just Achebe is also just trying to justify the situation. He is just trying to analyze trying to depict the situation, that how things were falling apart because of the white people. So he used different themes and symbols in it to prove his point. Apart from the role of colonial people in the disintegration, Achebe also objectively access the various reason for this breakage. He says that this breakage was also within the tribe as well, within the clan as well. How their old order and a settled way of life, that they were just the things there that those were coming from generations to generations and generations, and they were just not changing their ways of life, and their culture, basically that social formation, their social structure, that was inflexible. And when there is something inflexible and you try to mold that thing, or you try to give that thing another shape, it ultimately breaks into pieces. Sorry. So he says that some of these reasons are the rigid social structure which isolates the people, and men and women, and the overconfidence of the tribal people in the attitude towards the new religion, and they came the lack of unity as well, and these such drawbacks, they ultimately led to the their disintegration. So to conclude, we can say that the title of the book is very revealing, and the things fall apart. That he means that there is disintegration, and with the inroads of new European ideas into the Igbo society, the old traditional pattern of the society begins to flatter, and the things begin to fall apart. The traditional beliefs, old practices, and the beliefs in the earth goddesses and the ancestral spirits, all these begin to receive, receive assaults in the hands of the white people, and the society begins to break into pieces with the opposing views, and thus the center cannot hold. All this explains the reason for Chinua Achebe's voice of the title, "The Things Fall Apart." That was the just the significance of the title, and I'm sure you are have gained quite the understanding. Now move on towards the major and minor characters. For that purpose, I have just picked a flow chart in order to explain the major and minor characters of the. First one is the Akongo. Akonko is the uh, protagonist of the novel, and this story revolves and it develops with the story of the Aconcos. So he was the son of the lazy name person, Yunoka. Yunoka is the Akonko's son, and he's lazy, and he was just irresponsible person. So, Akonko, he strives to make his way in a world that seems to value manliness, and so he rejects everything for which his father believes. He just despises his father. Yunoka was his father was idle, poor, coward, gentle, and interested in music and conversations. While on the other hand, Akonko, he consciously adopts opposite ideals and becomes productive. He becomes wealthy, thrifty, brave, violent, and opposed to music and anything that he perceives to be soft, such as conversation and emotions as well. He is, just he is the stoic to a fault. He just uh, cannot compromise over or just was unable to compromise over his rules, and he just didn't like to show emotions in order to give away himself as weak. He just wanted to be considered as the strong man, and as the person who is the stronger of than everyone. So he achieves great social and financial success by embracing these ideals in the society. So he marries three women, and and several fathers several children. So, nevertheless, just as his father was at odds with the values of the community around him, so too does Okonkwo find himself unable to adapt to changing times as the white men come to live among the Umufians. So he was the inflexible person, Okonkwo, and he is also a tragic hero in the novel. So Akonko, what he that is the he shows the superior character, and his tragic flaw is the equation of manliness with the rashness, anger, and violence. That he just brings about his own destruction because of these things. He was many a times he was just unable to express his feelings, and he was the quite an inward person. He was an introvert. So his son Navoe, he is the oldest son of Akonko, and Akonko was very ashamed of Navoe. Navoe, he struggles in the shadow of the powerful and successful and the demanding father, Akonko. His interests are different from Okonko and resembles more closely to those of Yonoka, his grandfather. He, like Okonko, Navoe defies his father, and he just was unable to be like his father. He was more like Yonoka. He was soft hearted, kind hearted, he was tender, gentle. So, because of this, Akonko was just ashamed of Navoe, and he undergoes many beatings at a loss for how to please his father, and until the arrival of Ikmifuna. He becomes like an Ikmifuna. He becomes like an older brother to Navoe. And he was also the kind of person, and also the kind of son that Konko wanted. So Konko, unconsciously he develops a likeness for Ikmifuna. And then comes Azinma. Azinma is the Khonko's daughter, and Azinma, Khonko's daughter, and she was the only person that was not afraid of Khonko. Khonko was fond of Azinma. He just liked his daughter so much that he desired that he wished that instead of Azinma being a daughter, she should be a should have been a son. So the that was the Azinma was basically the daughter of Akonko, and Ikwifi the second wife of Akonko. And so Azinma was the only child of Ikwifi and Congo, only daughter. But she was bold, and she approaches and even contradicts Konko. And Konko remarks to himself multiple times that he wishes she had been born a boy. And since he considers her to have such a masculine spirit, as Zinma was the only person who seems to win the Konko's full attention, affection, and ironically respect. And she and he are kindred spirits, which boost her confidence and courage as well. She grows into a beautiful young woman who sensibly agrees to put off for marriage until her family returns from exile. So she was quite the bold person, and she was the only person who could approach Akonko without any fear. I told you that Akonko was kind of stoic person. Everybody feared talk to him. So as Zinma was the only person who could approach him without any fear. Ikwifi, the second wife of Akonko, Ikwifi just left her first husband to marry Akonko. Akonko, he won a battle, wrestling, and Ikwifi just she was got fond of Konko's strength, physical strength, and she just she got attracted towards him, and she left her husband in order to marry Akonko. So the next character is the Yunoka, the father of Akonko. He died just 10 years prior to the opening of the novel. So he was, although not physically present in the novel, but he plays an important role in Akonko's memory. Ever since he was child, Akonko felt deeply ashamed of his father. For one thing, Inoka felt squeamish about blood. His fear of blood prevented him from becoming a warrior and earning the kind of title that would have won him distinction within the community. Like it was their tradition to be a wrestler, and whosoever was wrestler, I'm sorry, whosoever was wrestler, he was just the most reputed person of the clan. So he was squeamish about blood. So Yunoka, he tended to be more of a drain on the community than an active contributor. How he had a reputation for borrowing large sums from various people, and he rarely paid back his debts. So he was also drawn to the creative activities such as music. But he was an irresponsible person. So, to Konko, his father's aversion to violence and his preference for the arts marked him as an effeminate idler, precisely the opposite of what a Konko hoped to become. So in the novel, Yunoka's negative reputation drives Okonko's obsession with masculinity and personal achievement. So kind like he acted, Okonko's memory acted as a stimulator to, Yunoka's memory acted as a stimulator to Okonko. Then Obierica. Obierica is the closest friend of Okonko, Obierica. Closest friend of Okonko, he listens to Okonko when he's depressed, and he also favored him whenever he needs, Okonko needed help. Uh, Obierica looks out for his friend, and he also sells yams of Okonko to ensure that Okonko won't suffer the financial ruin when he was in exile. And he comforted him, and listened to him whenever he was oppressed. And like Novoe, America questions some of the tribe's traditional structure, like Novoe, who was unable to understand some things about his the social structure and the traditional structure of his society, and same is the case with America. He was also questioned those structures as well. Uh, then comes who is left. Ikmifiona is the foster son of Congo. How the foster son and Congo becomes fond of of Ikmifiona, and Ikmifiona becomes fond of Congo, and he started calling him father. And there happened an incident I would describe in the story that led to the things. Basically, the Ekmifiona, he belonged to the other clan, and he was sent to to this clan, to Konko's clan, as a punishment. So he was, he was destined to be murdered by a Congo. But what happened after a particular time? So what happened? A Congo just he loves him like his son. So we'll find out that whether he was able to murder him or not. Ujibo was the third wife of the Okonko, and she was the mother of several children of the Okonko. And she also had a daughter who was close, as close, no, sorry, that, and he beats her as well. Konko was a person who considered it a manliness to beat his wives. And it was a sign of manliness in their culture. There are other characters like British characters, Mr. Brown, Reverend James Smith, and the district commissioner. Though these British characters, those who were just leading the missionaries and who were leading the colonial group in the Igbo society. Mr. Brown represents, he was just a bad personality, like a person with a bad tempered. What he did, Basically, Mr. Brown, he Achibe just what he did, he's portraying the colonial present by tempering bad personalities with the good ones. So Mr. Brown's successor, Reverend Smith, he is the zealous, vengeful, small-minded, and manipulative. He thus stands in the contrast to Mr. Brown, who is Mr. Brown is the benevolent one, but not always beneficent. So he succeeded in winning a large number of converts because he was the person, he was a good listener. He listened to their stories, their beliefs and opinions, and he also accepted the converts unconditionally. So his conversation with the people, it shows the sympathetic stance. So Mr. Brown, he was kind of he was being sympathetic with them as well. He was understanding the African culture. He just finding their culture amusing, and he was getting interest, genuine interest in the native culture. So but his name as well, the Mr. Brown, Brown means he was there was a clear cut racial division between the colonizer and the colonized, and but but he was just yeah, by nature was like that. On the other hand, Reverend James Smith, he was the cruel person. He was this so passionate person. He was this so enthusiastic person that he didn't even show one person an sympathy to the Africans, as it was just intolerable. It was intolerant in the colonial rule to get genuine interest and to be sympathetic to the colonized people. So he replaces Mr. Brown, and he was uncompromising, and he was so strict. He demands his converts he rejects all the indigenous beliefs, and he shows no respect for the indigenous custom or culture. On the other hand, Mr. Brown did show respect, but he didn't, and he is the stereotypical white colonialist, and his behavior epitomizes the problems of the colonialism. He intentionally provokes or incite people or incite anger in the clan members. He intentionally doing was, and he was just encouraging some fairly serious transgressions in the in that society. Then there is the district commissioner, an authority figure in the white colonial government in Nigeria. So the prototypical racist colonialist, and he thinks that he understands everything about the native African customs and cultures, and he has no respect for them, like Mr. James. So he plans to work his experiences into an ethnographic study on local African, and the idea of which embodies his dehumanizing and reductive attitude towards race relations. So he was just planning to write a book on this whole story. So and he did write a book, and he also selected a title for it, and it will be revealed after at the end of the novel. So this was the whole about the characters, major and the minor. I didn't discuss the minor character, there are many, and so I discussed the major characters and the British characters with you. And I discussed characters before the story because I wanted you to have a clear cut when I'm telling you story, that you can just understand which character I'm talking about. So if I told you the story first, and then it might be confusing for you because you might not be aware of the characters. So no, move on towards the storyline of the things fall apart. I guess we should discuss the storyline in the uh, third lecture, and that is enough for this lecture. So I would like to wind it up, and I guess I have cleared about the title significance. We discussed Achibe's intro, and his purpose of writing, then title significance, then character flow chart. So I really hope that things are clear to you, and please do study these things in detail as well. And thank you for listening. Stay blessed.